Well, good morning and welcome back to the Northern Coast here in Northern Ireland. Tuesday morning, and I reckon there's a chance we're going to get some nice colour. Now, here on the Northern Coast, obviously because we are kind of up in the north, we don't actually get, this time of year, we don't actually get to see the sunrise or the sunset on the horizon. And many people would think, well, that avoid places like this for sunrise and sunset. Well, I say hobbycock to that. Obviously, we're not going to get a lot of direct light on the foreground, but what we're probably going to get is some reflective light, or what we'll hopefully get is some reflective light. Now, as I was driving over out to the east, it does look as though there is sort of gaps on the horizon. Above me, sort of some really nice thick textured clouds, so that obviously gives us the chance not only to get some colour into the sky, but actually some of that reflective light coming down onto the foreground as well. Now, I don't really have a position in mind. I'm just really going to go along the walk here, kind of walk out along the beach, up over the headland probably, and then walk back again, probably over the next 3 or 4 hours. Sunrise is in about 45 minutes, but as I say, I'll shoot on through sunrise and then wander on out to the headland. I guess I should also tell you where I am. Well, as I said, still on the north coast here in Northern Ireland, but we're down at Portballintrae. And again, this is one of those locations that doesn't get a huge amount of love and attention from a photography point of view. We are only a couple of miles away from the Giants Causeway. You can walk from here to the Giants Causeway, but I quite like this little area because you have quite a mixture of environments. You have obviously a lovely beach with some nice rocks on it, and then as you walk on out you get onto the headland, and on stormy days you can get some really fantastic conditions out there. So I think there's a chance we'll get some light this morning, so irrespective, as always, good to be out with a camera. So let's go and explore Portballintrae. So I'm actually struggling just a little bit with the composition. And as I say, you've got this lovely river flowing out into the sea, which can create some lovely kind of foreground and lead-in into the image. One of the issues being is they put a polarizer on to cut through some of that glare, but it actually makes the overall feel of the river quite dark. And so to compensate for that, what I'm doing is trying to kind of include some of these little eddies that are kind of in the river just to break that up a little bit. Now we're losing, you might be able to see behind me, we're losing a lot of that cloud cover unfortunately, which while leaving behind some lovely pink tones in the upper atmosphere, I think personally I would have preferred it with some of the texture in the clouds, because it balances, there's a lot of texture going on here in the foreground. Now I think the sun has just about risen, indeed, about 2 minutes away, so we might actually get a little bit more colour in there. There is some cloud on the horizon, sort of just above the horizon, so again we might get lucky with some reflective light as well. But a little bit of a struggle, but and a load of very noisy oyster catchers over there as well. Right, let's go back to trying to work on a composition. Don't hold out much hope for this location though. Still really struggling. And now, not that you'd be able to see this probably with a dynamic range, but the light over on the east on the clouds is just absolutely stunning. We don't seem to be getting a huge amount on the clouds in the sort of composition that I've set up. So again, just trying to make some of those little eddies to break up some of the otherwise more dark background. Of course, in the next probably 20 minutes or so, the sun is going to break the visible horizon for me, and we might actually get some nice additional light, but quite a valuable lesson actually, because quite often you can be in a place and the conditions seem, you know, really conducive to landscape photography. There's, you know, beautiful river, nice sort of stormy sea, sort of quite calm, so be able to sort of set up the tripod, lovely sort of textured clouds. And I think we, as photographers, can then rush about and almost do ourselves an injustice That the word I'm looking for? Injustice? Disservice, maybe? Justice, disservice. Anyway, by rushing something, and of course one of the ways that we will rush this is, you know, we'll see something gorgeous developing here or something gorgeous developing there, and we'll run to get that in the picture, and then we'll think, oh, must have a foreground rock, and we'll pick some rock and we'll take a picture and we'll go, there you go. Be careful about doing that. As tempting as it could be for me to sort of run down to the edge of the spit and try to compose something, I know when I get it back to the computer, it just won't resonate with me, so I'd rather just kind of go, you know what, maybe this is just going to be one of those mornings, at least during sunrise, where there's not going to be an image. I'm going to carry on, I'm going to stick to my grounds and carry on fine-tuning this. There's a couple of bits on it I like, there's a couple of bits on it I'm not overly fussed with, so I'll go back to fine-tuning this while slowly crying into my lens hood that I'm not somewhere better. So that sun has now risen above the visible horizon, creating some lovely sort of mood out to sea. But again, after what I said last time about, you know, don't rush to sort of go sort of find a composition. Once I turned off the camera, I almost rushed to go find a composition. But yeah, that sun's coming up lovely. What I'm noticing actually is, you know me and those grasses by the dunes. Oh, they look very nice. Might sort of take a wander over there in a minute. But right now, I'm actually sort of doing more sort of detailed shots, sort of just looking for sort of patterns, and I actually did prefer the light when it was reflective light on those rocks. It's maybe a little bit too harsh now, so I might just wait for that sun to disappear in behind, or sort of go slightly behind the cloud just to soften it just a little bit, but rather beautiful. And so as you can see, I've actually brought myself up along the beach now. So far it's been not a hugely successful morning, but this is the reality of 90% of the time here out with the camera. I also smell like a wet dog, not because I normally smell like a wet dog, but because a wet dog decided to come over and say good morning. So yeah, just kind of wandering up the little beach now here, and it's kind of cut in two in terms of light and shadow. The sun hasn't quite peeked over the dunes, but on the far headland it has. But what I'm really looking for here is just potentially some interest on the beach, and maybe sort of continue on that whole theme of sort of abstracty type work. It's an incoming tide, so possible shooting locations get diminished as the minutes ticked on, but I'll carry on kind of wandering along. There is some lovely driftwood on this beach, but looking at the previous strand line, I don't think the tide comes up that high, so not worthwhile hanging around for that. But yeah, we'll just wander along this beach and see whether there's anything to be had. But so far, not hugely successful. I think that's the morning over. Well, over in regards to photography anyway. Not my most successful morning by a long shot. There was a little scene on the way back that might work in different conditions. Maybe winter, maybe a bit of frost, but I'm pretty sure the 3 or 4 images that I made this morning won't really cut it. So, but onwards and upwards, as they say. Interestingly, that normally this time of year, it's only about sort of 10:30 in the morning this far north. It can actually be still quite a nice soft light, but it actually is quite a harsh light. So, and very little cloud cover, sort of in the direction that I wanted to shoot in as well. So all in all, yeah. Having said that, now I can sense that the sun is actually going in behind the cloud to diffuse the light somewhat. So apologies, there hasn't been much in the way of grand footage this morning. I'm not even sure whether this will make a vlog. I'm never too sure that content is going to make a vlog until I go back and check, obviously, first and foremost, whether there's an image to be had, but secondly, whether the actual content kind of hangs together. I don't just want to put stuff out just because. So, and if it's not going to go out, I've just wasted a minute of my life talking to myself. So yeah, great. Anyway, Hope you guys have enjoyed out this morning at Portballintrae. Hopefully next time it'll be a bit more successful. Catch up soon. Bye bye.